Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler up at Harvard University, and producer Zach Bloomquist, the best executive producer in the game, is here with us. Jack will probably be joining a little bit later. He's coming back from some of his classes. He's been watching the games, and he's been texting us a lot in the group chat right now. Okay, so
wearing this Packers jersey is a lot easier when the Packers blow it against the Browns.
Ziggy,
that's all I'm saying.
I'm still not very happy to see you in that Packer jersey, but I would say a shocking 13-10 Packer loss to the Browns here. I mean, the end of NFL Week 3, the 1 o'clock slate so far was just utterly insane with 3 straight block kicks to win the game. What was the final score? Did the Bucs Jets end? Is that
not
over
yet? I don't believe.
But the Jets have a block kick.
The Bucs won.
Oh, the Bucs won.
Field goal.
Oh well. Anyway, still though, Jets blocked the kick against the Bucs, returning for a touchdown. The Eagles. I hate the Eagles, man. I hate the Eagles more than the Packers. They do it to the Rams, and the Browns stunningly block the Brandon McManus game-winning attempt. Where you see the title of this video, guys, saying "total collapse." Now, I still think that 9 times out of 10 these teams play. I think the Packers are going to win, but it kind of worked out. There were 2 versions of this, right? Where Green Bay just blew them out, or the Cleveland defense showed up and we saw a slugfest, which is what this turned into. But then at the end of the game here, if you just look at the Packers box score, it's 0 points allowed until a 13-point fourth quarter where you had the Jordan Love interception. Of course, you had the blocked field goal. You allowed Cleveland to go 12 plays down the field. Ziggy, when you were watching this here, we were preparing everything as if it was going to be another Packer win. What was the big thing that jumped out to you in this Packer loss?
I mean, the big thing that jumped out to me is we talked a lot last week about how if this Packers team, Jordan Love, could just play at a high level consistently, they would be a contender. And if it was just the defense, they'd have some ups and they'd have some downs. And I mean, we can set aside like Micah Parsons having a terrible offsides penalty right at the beginning of that essential Browns drive. But the defense did their job, right? If you give up 0 points through 3 quarters as the Green Bay defense, your offense should score more than 1 touchdown for the entire game. Like, it felt like, I understand the tackles were out, and obviously the offensive line will be better, and everyone was worried about Myles Garrett. But seeing basically no running game, Josh Jacobs had a bad game. Seeing the receivers struggle, seeing Jordan Love struggle, they need the offense to be better. And through 3 weeks, the defense has been lights out. I have no worries about that. But you've got to be able to handle the Browns defense if you want to win games. Other teams have been able to do it.
Yeah. Baltimore, I know it was a close first half, but Baltimore in the second half, they had all the turnovers in that game, and they marched down the field. Every time they had the opportunity to put it away, they did put it away. And the Green Bay offense, again, 10-0 most of the second half here, or most of the fourth quarter. They had a couple opportunities to end this game, and they weren't able to do it. And the Jordan Love interception was just horrendous. I know he didn't see it. Was Grant Delpit, right? I think came across on a pass to Dontavian Wicks, if I'm remembering correctly. Again, one of the funny things about these instant reactions is you're trying to still kind of process everything. You have the highs and lows of all these games. And the Vikings, by the way, a dominant win over. We'll get to the Vikings.
We don't even talk about that. It was so dominant.
But this was one I see everyone in the comment section here is just saying like, man, like, do contenders really lose to the Cleveland Browns? And the Browns are a stingier team, I think, than most people will give them credit to. To me, this was just a absurd implosion from Green Bay, playing in a difficult spot on the road. Obviously, in my opinion, the Packers are still elite contenders. Like, that is look, guys, as a Viking fan, I found it hysterical. Yes, that was really fun to watch. But I don't change too much of my opinion on the Packers overall. Thank you, Ziggy. Thank you. I don't change too much of my opinion on Green Bay overall. What I will say, though, is that Jordan Love, this is the whole thing I've been on all year. The defense is great. That's awesome. Jordan Love needs to play at a certain level for the Packers to truly be in that Super Bowl conversation. I still believe he can get to that level and be at that level consistently. But today was not the case. And if that happens, you have to demote them a tier. I'm not ready to do that, but I'm seeing a lot of people are.
And we've seen people in our comments saying that like the Packers overlooked the Browns. This was a trap game. I don't think that's what happened. It did not seem like the Green Bay was totally unprepared or they weren't expecting the Browns to be good. Look, it's the NFL. You know who this Cleveland's Browns team is when it's time to play them. It just felt like the offense wasn't good enough to put up enough points to win the game. Like, I understand that they lost on a special teams blunder, but that also meant with 2 minutes left in the game, you were one special teams blunder away from losing the whole game.
There's not reason to go into a full-on panic if you're a Packer fan right now, but there's two ways you could look at this. In some sense, you could say maybe the Packers needed a bit of a wake-up call. Maybe even the fan base needed a bit of a wake-up call. That's always nicer to have in a win, which it looked like was going to be the case up until the very, very end of the game. In that, the Packers fandom, everyone in Green Bay associated with the team was so jacked up after those first two wins. And you should be, because they were great wins against conference rivals and conference contenders. But maybe it's good. I mean, we think about Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois last year. That's something that woke up the locker room. Now, you need that to happen in this Packer offense. Like, they need to wake up and put some points on the board. That's if you're playing the optimistic role of, okay, like, let's try and get some good out of this. The other side of this is that you saw a couple big-time concerns, and everyone's saying right here, the offensive line was really bad today. And Jordan Morgan specifically had a really, really tough game. Zach Tom got banged up. Did Aaron Banks left the game as well, I believe. So these things can spiral quickly, and I'm not ready to even get close to that if I were a Packer fan. But it's just when you're playing an elite defense, and think about, the Eagles, one of the elite defenses in the league. I think the Lions are going to continue to get better even though you just worked them. That's something that the Vikings D-line, right, was unbelievable today and should be really good as long as they avoid injuries. A lot of these NFC contenders have some stout pass rushers. How concerned would you be, Ziggy, if you were a Packer fan about the O-line?
Well, you have to be happy about the fact that, like, your next games are at Dallas and then you have a bye. So there's some time for the offensive line to get healthy.
Yeah.
Some of this, I think, some of Jordan Morgan's struggles, I have to think, are from the fact that Packers are effectively asking him to learn 4 positions, right? Sometimes it's like, you're going to be our left tackle. Maybe he's going to be playing guard on either side. They put him in at right tackle sometimes. It hasn't felt like in his development they've given him the consistency that he needs to be able to step up and come in suddenly when you have to face Myles Garrett in your face unexpectedly in Cleveland. Am I freaking out about the offensive line? No. Jordan Love took some preventable sacks. The throws weren't there. They still have good players at the top, and I don't believe we've learned anything that would suggest these are going to be really long-term season-ending injuries. But if you want to have good backups, like, they're asking Jordan Morgan to do way too much in practice, I think. And that puts you in a situation where maybe it's good for his long-term development. It's not so obvious that's true. But he's not Elgton Jenkins, right? He's not a guy you can move and put into any position you want. He's not Zach Tom, who can play either side really, really well. So I think they were caught by surprise of all these injuries. Most teams in the NFL would be. And how your, like, backup tackle performs against the best edge rusher in football immediately when you're put in the middle of a game shouldn't tell you a whole lot. I think the bigger thing is Jordan Love needs to learn how to manage things when the offensive line isn't performing great. Because there were certainly some big mistakes on his part that felt to me like it just wasn't him respecting the fact that we've got backups all over the O-line.
Yeah, it was a total collapse. I mean, that's what we put as the title of this video, because that's truly what it was. You saw, in some sense, all 3 phases of the Packers with the offensive interception, the block kick, and the defense allowing Cleveland to go down the field and score. I know they had the great goal line stop. But we saw the Packers just totally collapse. And that was something that we did not expect from this team after the start they had to this season. But, ultimately, you need to be able to put these games away. And it happens. That's why I wouldn't overreact. And, it's crazy to me that we're sitting here at the end of the 1 o'clock games of week 3 and the Vikings and Packers have the same record, because it's been a very different route to 2-1 for each side. But this is also, I think this is the perfect example of why you can't overreact in the NFL. Now, do I think the Vikings are going to go on a Super Bowl run because we beat the crap out of the Bengals today? Yes. No, probably not. But way more positive than against the Falcons, who lost by 30 to the Panthers today. Things happen. It gets crazy. It's just part of the way football is. Green Bay is a great opportunity now to come back in front of a national audience on Sunday Night Football with the Micah Parsons revenge game and show everyone that was a fluke in Cleveland. Like, we don't know what happened there. We're going to put it past us. So I wouldn't be too concerned, but you got to move on from it immediately because you got a really big game now. Like, it's crazy how a win or loss, though, changes the way you view the schedule. You got to go beat Dallas now, or you're 2-2, and we'll see what Detroit and Minnesota do. You could be second or third in the division very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you are correct that it's a big win. And again, the Cowboys' defensive line should be a lot less of a struggle. But Matt LaFleur is going to have to ask some tough questions. We will see what the health looks like long term. And it looks like we're looking in our comments here. I put out a poll whether the Packers are still contenders, and about 90% of the people in here are saying
Well,
yes.
yeah, duh. I mean, they
So, like, people are
obviously are
not
still contenders.
overreacting. Well, no, I think that's right. Like, this doesn't change how I think about the Packers very much. But you're right that it puts a lot more pressure on this schedule because now games that we were sort of looking over, we went through with Andy Herman, right? And you said, well, maybe the next time I'm really scared for this Green Bay team is when they play Philadelphia at home November 10th. If you can lose in Cleveland, right? This is a team that things can go off the rails for. You've got to get things back on track and win your next few because we saw Packers players, like I believe it was I think it was Rasheed Walker who said in an interview a couple of days ago, I think we're going to go undefeated. We're going to win every single game this season and take it from the Miami Dolphins. If you're a Packers player, you cannot be looking ahead anymore. You need to think less about going 17-0 or 16-1 and more about beating Dallas in the Micah Parsons revenge game.
No, and that is the area where I actually think it could be good for Green Bay. Like, I really do think we are starting to get ahead of ourselves. I mean, everybody in the world was talking about the Packers' start to the season and how this is the year. I met some Packer fans in Notre Dame this weekend. The first thing they said was Aaron Rodgers, 27, year 3 starting, Super Bowl. Favre, 27, year 3 starting, Super Bowl. Jordan Love. And I was like, oh my gosh, can we just take a beat here? Like, yes, you can celebrate the early season success, but it's week 2. Like, let's try and remember it's just week 2. The Saints last year, we all saw what happened to them. Now, I would be beyond shocked if that happened to this Packer team, anything close to that. But yeah, this is a horrendous loss to the Cleveland Browns. Can't happen. You got to flush it and move on. Jordan Love ends the day 18 for 25, 183 yards, a touchdown and interception. 5 sacks, though. Took a couple really bad ones, too. I'm thinking that one 3rd and 1. I know it's 3rd down anyway, but just throw the ball away. Don't take that hit, Jordan. There were a number of plays. There are a number of plays going back and rewatching this game that I think you'll go like, wow, that was a little bit bigger than I thought. Because at the time, it felt like Green Bay was just going to waltz to a victory, even though it was sloppy. And now you can look back and be like, yeah, no, that okay, we could have used a couple yards here. Could have gone for it if we hadn't taken that hit. So it's just an ugly, ugly loss. One that you just have to wipe away next week.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of bad momentum for Green Bay now. You saw it both from like how the defense started tackling in the second half, all the penalties they started racking up. I mean, it feels like every single week LaFleur says, yeah, we had a bunch of penalties we need to get better at. I believe they've had 29 now through 3 weeks. They're one of the most penalized teams in the NFL. And you can point and say, well, Jordan Morgan had 3 false starts. That's 10% of our penalties right there. But as a coach, like, you need to be able to keep the team through these difficult situations locked in. And I'm not saying it's been like a persistent problem for him or anything, but if you want to be a playoff contender, if you want to go and win the Super Bowl, being up 7 against the Browns is not going to be the hardest situation you're going to be in all year, right? You are going to have to deal with difficult situations against teams that are better than Cleveland. You cannot have this second half collapse that the Packers had. And it feels weird to talk about a second half collapse when they were up 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah.
But it did just feel like the quality of play declined pretty significantly.
No, it did. I mean, the game was over. Like, we had the thumbnail and everything made, and it was 10-0. Cleveland had that drive down the field. And even after the Browns kicked the field goal, it was like, okay, this should probably still. I mean, the fact that Green Bay lost in regulation is just shocking. Like, if you were to play this game out 100 times, 99 times, Green Bay will not lose that game, given the way the final 5 minutes played out. But that's exactly what happened, and it was bad execution across the board in basically every component. And Josh Jacobs needs to get going. Like, they got to get Josh Jacobs. He needs to wake up on the year, and a lot of that problem could be, offensive line related as well. But he has 150 yards through 3 games. And
I thought he was elite. I thought he was the best running back in the NFL.
I mean, this is a guy who ran for 1,300 yards last year and through 3 games has 150. Like, that was such a core component of the Packers' offense last season. And it's just, it hasn't been, for as great as the defense has been, the offense, especially today, was super mediocre. I mean, bad. You could say bad. And that area needs to wake up. The defense was great all the way up until the very end of the game with those drives. So that's one area that I think you can take some solace in if you're a Packer fan is this defense should be good all season long. I'd be really surprised if they weren't one of the best in football. But we just need to get some consistency out of Jordan Love. That's what you're saying if you're a Packer fan. We got to find a way. What are some of these super chats coming in here, Ziggy?
Well, before we get to the super chats, I do want to say if you're enjoying this video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm not sure we're going to get a whole lot of subscriptions from this video because usually it's Packers fans coming in to celebrate a win. If you want to turn that trend around, we're chasing 25,000 by the end of the month. We're right there. There's about 500 of you here. Let's get to the super chats. This is from Kits Craven. All great teams have a humble game. Packers still scary. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. I'm still afraid. I would not want to play the Packers next week. I think Dallas is in for an absolute butt whooping.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not scared of them. Like, I'm scared of the Packers when Jordan Love is out there slinging it around because then you combine the defense and that's when it starts to get overwhelming. Like after today, I'm not scared of Green Bay right now. I think they're a very good team, but like you definitely have to reevaluate. And so as the Bears take a 6-0 lead here or 7-0 lead. Yeah, I'm not terrified of Green Bay the way I was after the Commander game.
Yeah, Danny G comes in and says, I'm a Packers fan. I love my team, but if you're a contender, you have to beat the bad teams. The Vikings win the North. Well, we appreciate that sentiment, but the Vikings are not a team that's gone and beaten bad teams either. You see what happened? If you thought the Falcons' loss was bad, the stinker they laid against the Panthers really makes that loss look terrible.
Yeah, I was watching the Falcons. Well, look, when we won 48-10, so I'm not complaining too much today. But I was watching that Falcons score get worse and worse, going like, "Holy crap! I cannot believe that we lost to this." Tom Monroe,
Michael Penix,
Tom Monroe, our great friend Tom Monroe, Lions fan, who had $10,000 in a parlay riding on the Vikings last week, texts me, Ziggy. He goes, "I'm sorry, Paul, but how the fuck is this curse? How is this Packer or Viking team now looking like this?" When the Falcons are losing by 30 to the Panthers. It's like, Tom, you just don't get it, man. Like, you don't get what it's like as a Viking fan. We totally called this, too, in the Viking game. Like, we knew that they were going to come out. Maybe not 48-10. I mean, that's a little ridiculous, but
we did predict them dominating the Bengals.
Yeah, this is what the Vikings do. It is mind-boggling to me. That
You know when the last time the Vikings won a game by this many points was?
When?
1998.
Yeah, well.
Like this is a historic dominance from a team that, in 1998, I guess they only lost one game and won the division, so maybe it could be a repeat. It's what the Vikings do. They drag you back in, and now I'm looking at this team, and I'm like, man, Carson Wentz looked pretty good today. 14 for 20, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. Carson Wentz did not look good today.
I thought he looked decent. But the story of the game, Isaiah Rodgers had, I think, the greatest defensive half in the history of football. Like, it might be.
How did the Eagles let this guy go?
It might be. Well, I mean, the Eagles, at some point when you have all those superstars, you got to let some people off. But, yeah, for anyone who missed it, Isaiah Rodgers had an interception return for a touchdown, forced fumble, recovered it, returned for a touchdown, and, like, 2 plays later, punched the ball out from Jamar Chase for another forced fumble, all in the first half.
Yeah, no player ever a whole game had ever had a pick six, a fumble returned for a touchdown, and 2 forced fumbles. He did in a half.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the Viking defense, that is the way I expect them to come out and play against the Falcons. Just being absolute, swarming all over the place, creating havoc. And that's what you need to do against backups. So this is what the Packers like. If you're a Packer fan, like, that's what you want to do to Cleveland. You want to be turnovers, do what the Ravens did to them, right? Short fields for Love to work on. And it just wasn't the case today. Obviously, the defense did a great job holding the Browns to 0 points through 3 quarters. But they let up at the end. But against these bad teams, especially when you have the pass rush Green Bay has, like, you want to be able to put Flacco in situations where he's going to turn the football over, where you can capitalize and put them out quickly. And that just didn't happen. Just didn't happen.
Yeah, we got a couple super chats here from Doug Hype TV. Packers overlooked the Browns, bring on Dak, and Green Bay's offensive line couldn't block a soul. That makes it tough. I mean, I agree with LaFleur that this was not a game where the Packers just totally overlooked the Browns. I think the evidence for that is how well the defense played. They were clearly ready. A lot of people are going to place the blame on the offensive line. I think there's a lot there. And I need to go back and watch the game film. But I'm curious if you agree with this, Paul. To me, this really felt like Jordan Love not getting it done, knowing that the offensive line wasn't going to be great, rather than the offensive line making an impossible situation for him.
I don't know, man.
Well,
The
set
O
aside
line was.
the Jordan Morgan penalties were outrageous. So I'm going to set that aside. That's its own thing.
Yeah, I mean, what are you talking? Are you saying that like Love was? Are you blaming more on Love than the O line?
I'm saying a lot of those sacks, a lot of those overthrows, the missed screens, the weird ball angles being spiked at receivers' feet. Like Jordan Love had a bad game regardless of how the offensive line was.
Yeah, no, everyone on Green Bay did not play well. And Cleveland has a good defense. Like we knew coming into this game, we got to give Jack some credit, right? Obviously, he was being ridiculous when he said Joe Flacco was going to be running all over the place, slicing and dicing. Yes, that was a joke. But when you talked about the Browns' defense coming in and being able to shut down Green Bay, that's sort of what happened as well. I mean, there was one touchdown for the Packers on this day. And Love looked uncomfortable. He didn't look like the Jordan Love we saw in at times. I don't want to say the first 2 weeks total because he had ups and downs. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Love looked very uncomfortable. And ultimately, that is what I'm just going to keep going back to. If the Packers want to win the Super Bowl, Jordan Love's going to need to play like an elite quarterback. Regardless of how good the rest of the team is, Jordan Love's going to need to be elite. And today he wasn't. It's funny seeing the Packer fan reactions here of like most of you guys are kind of reasonable. And then the other half of people, maybe like 25% of people right now are like, season's over, time to give up. And you just sound, it's just amazing how 2 weeks in, like Super Bowl contenders, #1 team in every power rankings, lost to the Browns. Like that's just football. That's how people react to this stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that in our poll, only 60% of Packers fans said that Josh Jacobs is elite. I'm glad some people are starting to see the light a little bit on that one, that he's a tier 2 running back. Here's a super chat from Richard Wirtz. Bad pick, block kick, facing a top 3 defense. Let's wait to see how we do the rest of the year. I'll wait to judge. Also, fans are crazy.
Also, building off a comment we just got in here now, the other thing is Jordan Love did take him down the field to win that football game. Like, you got to give credit where it's due there. Like, Love responded well to the pick. They went down and they should have won the game. Like, the Packers had a field goal blocked and recovered at the 50-yard line. That's what happened here. We're talking about a team that should have won the football game, even though they played really bad. It took a number of ridiculous things to happen for the Browns to win. And that's it. I mean, you have to move on from it. But it is a horrible loss, nonetheless. It's like, if that happened to the Vikings, I would be furious right now. So I don't blame anyone for their reaction here.
Yeah, but I mean, also, if you were a Browns fan, Brad Perocta's coming in with this one. Like, the non-fumble call was ridiculous. I'm not going to weigh in on, like, the who recovered it, because I thought that was hard to tell. I know you think it's really obvious Jacobs recovered it. I do not.
I think Jacobs...
Well, let me say my thing. NFL refs are cowards sometimes. Like, they're afraid of getting bad media because they made a game-deciding call or whatever. So they'll let things that are, like, obviously one way stand another way because they don't want to take a stand. That was obviously a fumble. I do not want to hear the fact that the refs came in and said, oh, there's not good evidence it's a fumble. Like, come on. Now, should that have decided the game? I don't know. Should the Browns have gotten the ball there? I don't know. You're much more confident about that, and I think you have a right to be. But the non-fumble call was absolute garbage.
Well, yeah, it was absolutely a fumble. I don't know who recovered. Like, I didn't see what happened there, but it looked like to me Jacobs had recovered it. What I'm looking at, what I'm like ruffling my eyebrows over here, is you saying Darrisaw didn't make a difference, Ziggy. That's ridiculous.
I didn't say Darrisaw didn't make a difference. I'm saying he didn't make a 55-point difference.
Yeah,
it's
but
not like we win the fact that we like did nothing in the Falcons game and then went to like the Bengals and beat them up. That was not a Christian Darrisaw difference. That was a whole team.
I mean,
difference.
I think there's a whole team difference, and Wentz played better than McCarthy.
We the Falcons of Christian Darrisaw.
I don't know. We might. I mean, Ziggy, did you watch that game? The school is horrendous at left tackle.
No,
and then we had Roos come in.
Christian Darrisaw does not make a 3-touchdown difference.
I'm not saying that we beat that we like blow out Atlanta, but we might beat them.
We needed if you're going to say Christian Darrisaw made the difference, you're saying Christian Darrisaw is worth 3 touchdowns because we lost by 3 scores.
It got out of hand late, yes. But, I mean, the whole game changes.
It got out of hand late. They scored 1 touchdown in the 4th quarter.
The Viking-Falcon game was a 1-possession game most of through midway through the 3rd quarter to the end of the 3rd quarter?
Christian Darrisaw does not win us that game. I don't want to hear it.
If you're
He's an important player. J.J. McCarthy was not playing remotely well enough for us to
We
win
were
that
getting
game.
abused on the left side of the offensive line. We had a backup center and 2. I mean, like, Darrisaw
and on the plays where
J.J.
McCarthy had the ball and he wasn't getting abused, he still was bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear that was a Christian Darrisaw difference.
look. Again, we don't blow out Atlanta, but I'm not. I think it makes a huge difference having a top 5 left tackle in football versus the worst left tackle in football. And I will. Yeah,
It
I'm
makes a big
completely on that
difference.
side.
I'll say he made a 2-touchdown difference. If that makes you feel better, that's still not enough to win the game.
But you're thinking of just the final score. You're not analyzing it from a full game standpoint.
Well, if you're analyzing it from a full game, then it's not as simple as, well, hold on, school was bad, therefore we scored 2 more touchdowns if he's in.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
school
come
is
on.
bad, and therefore maybe the game plan changes. Maybe McCarthy doesn't throw a pick here. Maybe we run a game plan differently. That's just what I think. That's just what I think here.
I mean, look, it's if you want to get into the complicated counterfactuals, it's hard to tell. I'm saying if Christian Darrisaw is worth 20 points every single week, he's making $100 million a year.
So do you think here now, after winning this game 48-10 and looking ahead, we had the Steelers next and then we had the Browns. Like the Vikings should be, and this is, obviously we're making this mistake too here of looking ahead too much. The Vikings should be 4-1.
You're making this mistake.
We should
This
be.
Vikings Bengal win will go down at the end of the year when we're like having the most fraudulent win award. Like the win that like had the biggest apparent signal that like it meant absolutely nothing. That's this game.
Yeah.
I don't think Carson Wentz played a very good game of football. I think he was okay. I think the defense was unbelievably lights out, but like in a way that's not repeatable. Look, I love Isaiah Rodgers. He's a good player. Isaiah Rodgers is not getting 2 touchdowns most games. You're not getting 1 defensive touchdown most games. Like I do not think this game tells us very much about the Vikings other than the Bengals had a truly horrendous day.
Yeah, it was even Jake Browning was not good today, but also at some point you fumbled the ball. They had 4 turnovers and you had massive fumbles, return for touchdowns. Like it just kills you there. But so right now, as it stands, Ziggy, before the Lions play in this Monday Night Football game against Baltimore, what's your feeling on the NFC North?
My opinion on the NFC North has not changed at all. Green Bay is going to win the division. The Lions are going to get second. One of the Vikings or the Bears will get third or fourth, and neither of those teams are making the playoffs.
Okay, so it doesn't change too much.
No, I mean it's if the Packers had not yet played the Lions, say you substitute in like another good NFC team, then it might be a little bit different. I might think, yeah, the Lions have an opportunity here. Winning that Lions game week 1 is such a big deal. It gives them such an advantage. Like even if the Lions win, right? If the Packers just beat their game on the road in Detroit, the division's basically theirs. I'm not super worried about Green Bay winning the division. I mean, the odds of it's worse. You want to win these games, but like, no, I still think it's Green Bay.
Yeah, we got a comment. I think it's been a couple times now from someone here named DJ who goes, again, it's early. Stop listening to the media. Packers' Achilles heel is Jordan Love. Well, no.
I mean, if you take that to mean when Jordan Love plays bad, the team sucks. It's hard to play well when your team's really not good. I agree.
Well, what I guess it depends what you mean by the Achilles heel. Like, are you saying like if Jordan Love's not playing on this Packer team, I'm not sure you go to the playoffs.
No, I mean, if by Achilles heel you're thinking back to like the actual story with Achilles, where it's like he was a great warrior and the way to beat him was to like hit him in the heel. But if you didn't hit him in the heel, he was going to be great. Yeah, like an Achilles heel doesn't mean they suck all the time. It means that's the weakness that if you can get to there, the whole thing will collapse. And I think that is Jordan Love. You are not, this game doesn't change me at all. You're not beating this defense. Like, you're beating the Packers by dragging down the offense and making them play dirty with you.
I think X Factor might be a better phrasing of it than Achilles heel.
X Factor is supposed to be a guy who, like, is unexpected, or like a player who, he's sort of on the down low, but he can make a difference.
I don't look at the Packers and say they're not going to win because of Jordan Love. Like, I don't think at the end of games, producer Zach over here has been furious at Tua Tagovailoa and how he can never win at the end of big games. Like, Tua usually makes a huge mistake playing elite teams. I know we're talking about the Browns today. I don't think Jordan Love when they beat the crap out of the Lions. I don't think the Dolphins win that football game. And it's for a variety of factors. But Jordan Love is someone that has played well in really big games before. Yes, you want him to be more consistent than he's been, but I'm not looking at Green Bay going, they won't win because of Jordan Love. Like, they can. I feel like it's more of a, like, Jordan Love has to be good for them to win, yes. But he's not going to be the reason that they lose these games.
He's the reason they lost this
sorry,
game.
Sorry. Let me take that back.
If they lose, he's probably the reason, but that doesn't mean he can't be the reason they win.
Yes, but that's like most quarterbacks. Like Jalen Hurts has a bad game.
But here's the difference. I have no doubt that like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts.
But he's not Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Well, he's paid like it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys are paid like it. And then we think the quarterback market's insane right now.
Like, I'm just saying, he's making more than Lamar Jackson. He's making more than Justin Herbert. He's making more than Jalen Hurts. He's making more than Jared Goff. He's making about the same as Josh Allen and Joe Burrow.
Well, people have said the same thing.
I have more confidence in all those guys to show up.
Dude, I mean, come on, man. Like, a lot of people are all over Herbert last year. Like, Herbert shows up in the playoffs and throws 4 interceptions, and people are all over him. Can't win. Like, this is how people react after big games. They blame the quarterback, and that's what people are saying. Lamar can't get it done, even though Mark Andrews dropped the football. Like,
I mean, I've never been saying those things.
No, I know not you.
Justin Herbert's a reliable quarterback, and Lamar Jackson's a good player.
I know it's not you, but I'm just saying, like, we can't. Yes, Jordan Love had a horrible interception today. If you take him off the Packers, they're not going to the playoffs. So for any Packers fans who are like, oh, we need to get rid of Jordan Love, it's like, all right, come on.
I don't think that's what people are saying. I think what people are saying
Some people have said Malik Willis in the comments, and that's insane.
Okay, well, there were people saying Malik Willis last year, too. I don't pay attention to that, but here's what I do pay attention to. Jordan Love, there was a 9-game stretch where he played consistently good football. And since then, we have not seen Jordan Love play consistently good football.
Yeah.
And that has to change for Green Bay. If you are going to pay him like this, if you want to be a Super Bowl contender, you don't need a quarterback that plays consistently great football. But you need a guy that you can count on to play consistently solid football and have big moments. And Jordan Love, he's got the big moment stuff down. Right? Against the Commanders, he played a great game. Against the Lions, he played a solid, efficient game. This game, he didn't.
So, yeah, bad loss for Green Bay today. A lot of people are in here saying embarrassing, like worst loss we've had since the 2017 or since the playoff game in Seattle. Was it 2015 now? I can't remember. But yeah, it was just a horrible.
I'm putting that 49ers home playoff loss above this all day.
Yeah, if we want to get into sad Packer losses, there are a lot of bad ones. But like this, yeah, pound for pound.
Can we get into it? I'm not sure I'd mind. Can we get into being 1-5 in the division last year?
But again, I actually think it could wind up being, in the long run, a good thing for Green Bay to have a wake-up call. So we'll see what happens. Appreciate everyone in the comments right now. If you're enjoying this show so far, yeah, once Enzo says your chat's crazy, Paul. Well, it's the overreactions. I mean, this is what happens. Like, and that's kind of the fun of football. Like, we're gonna go crazy, and if you guys win in Dallas next weekend, you guys will be 3-1 atop the division, and everything will be okay again. So that's the nice thing is you have 1 week to get this all out, air it out, and then if you win in Dallas, it's a brand new season. It's the way we're talking about the Vikings. So if you're enjoying this episode so far, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Obviously a little bit different viewer counts when we see our biggest fan base win or lose. But we appreciate everybody who's in here right now enjoying this video. And it's kind of cool to see a couple more Viking fans in here, Ziggy. We got some Vikings fans in the chat. I mean, that is not something that we're used to. So it's fun to see that there as well. And let me tell you guys, if the Vikings defense can play like this, like, my goodness, they were all over the place today. How many sacks did we end with? It felt like we were all over Jake Browning today. Yeah, we only had 4 sacks, but it felt like we were just getting to Browning consistently.
I mean, when you're not getting a sack because you're tipping a ball for a pick six.
Yeah,
or you're punching, like, fumbles don't count as sacks either. Like, I'm okay with how this game went.
9 QB hits, 53 rushing yards allowed. Chase Brown, I took him in fantasy. I don't know how many other Chase Brown fantasy owners there are out there. Like, what a brutal start to the year
I'm not sure
the
I've
Chase
ever
Brown
seen
owners.
a stat line worse than 10 carries for 3 yards.
Yeah, the Vikings, it was swarming today. And one other thing to kind of keep in mind here for Minnesota, while we did say how horrible they were for the first 2 games of the year, and we know J.J. McCarthy was a starting quarterback, and Wentz came in and was a lot better today. But there was a lot of dudes who are hurt that are coming back as well. Van Ginkel was on the field today. Harrison Smith forced an interception today with the tip that Ziggy alluded to. Darisaw was back, as we made clear based on our argument. But Addison will be back next week as well. Hopefully they'll get Cashman back. This Vikings team is really, really talented. And it's actually like there is a piece of me, Ziggy, that's watching Daniel Jones do what he's doing in Indianapolis. Rodgers and the Steelers are, I mean, that's just another, like, they're doing Steelers things to win. But I still think Rodgers is decent. And Darnold, obviously, I think can throw the football. And I'm watching this Vikings team today going like, man, if we could just have, like, if we don't have the worst quarterback play in football, we could be so good. And that is bothering me.
It's certainly bothering me too, though I have to say I am looking forward to playing the Steelers next week. I think that's going to be a really fun game. But even though I knew it was going to happen, we said so many times leading up to this game that Carson Wentz was going to play a solid, efficient game and the Vikings would dominate the Bengals. When you see it happen, it just hits a little bit different. I think you're right. It's like, man, couldn't we have just promised Daniel Jones a starting job and given it to him? Like, I don't even think, like, Daniel Jones is not that good, but he's playing good football. You know, Sam Darnold, is he a great NFL quarterback? No, but he's a good NFL quarterback. He was plenty good for us. Like, I know we talked about it a little bit last week. I know what the Vikings were going for with J.J. McCarthy, and that they want to transition to this new quarterback. But when you've got the oldest defense in football, stars all over the offense, and you're just saying if we have consistently good quarterback play, we can get it done. Like anything other than, like, the one thing that killed them last year, they at least ostensibly upgraded this offseason. I feel it. Last week, Paul, I was pounding the table saying we shouldn't have kept those guys. We made the right move moving on to J.J. McCarthy. Even though I knew this was going to happen, this makes me wonder.
No, I mean, and this is the thing that's kind of frustrating as well, is that we all, like, we agreed, me and you, like, hey, let's give this kid a shot. And in hindsight, obviously hindsight's 2020, but you look back on that and you're like, wow, if McCarthy doesn't work out, and I'm still not saying JJ's not going to work out, because again, it's been 2 weeks. Packer fans, don't freak out too much. But that thought of, if this doesn't work out and these other QBs have a really good year, these windows close quickly and this team is ready to win now. Like, I can feel the sadness coming on, but I'm enjoying today's win. And we'll see what happens with Wentz over the next couple weeks as well. If Carson has us at 4-1, he has to keep playing. He has to keep playing until he loses, or plays so poorly and the defense is scoring touchdowns that we're like, all right, like obviously he's not the answer.
I hate handing quarterbacks ultimatums like win or you lose your job every single week. But also, I mean, we have a murderer's row coming out of the bye. We host Philly, we go to LA, we go to Detroit, we host the Ravens. And it's not like it gets that much easier after that. I mean, nice, we host the Bears, that's hopefully a win. Then you go to Green Bay, you go to Seattle, you host the Commanders. And at that point, if we've won enough games, we're in the playoff conversation. If we're not, yeah, sure, throw in J.J. McCarthy. But, like, we need to win every single game in front of us. And throwing J.J. McCarthy coming off injury against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Do you really want to do that?
No, and that's what's like. Again, a 48-10 win is awesome, but you start thinking too far into the future on what's coming up here. It's like, we're going to have a quarterback decision probably coming out of the bye. And, like, yeah, do you want to throw JJ into that fire? Like, I don't know how that goes. But if you don't play him too, he's never going to improve. So it's like,
well, Kevin O'Connell guaranteed that Carson Wentz is starting next week.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
and
obviously.
Of course he did.
He'll start the next two.
This is why you never wanted J.J. McCarthy to get hurt in the first place. Because I don't think it does the team any good to have these questions looming over them.
No, it's all the winning is great, but the long-term questions at quarterback are very, very big right now. And I just, like, I thought Romo was insane. I think Wentz had like 2 good drives great drive to start the day. Like, on his 3rd drive, Romo's like, hey, if you're Carson Wentz's agent, you're making some phone calls right now because your guy's about to get paid. I'm like, whoa. All right, can we slow down a second here? Like, let's see a couple good games first. But, you know, one of the big winners today, Ziggy, the Detroit Lions. The Lions were watching the Packers today and we're like, okay, it's good to see them come back down to earth. And with the way they looked against Chicago, we'll see what happens on Monday night in Baltimore. That's a tough game regardless. But I think any Lions fan who's watching right now is really pumped because you're not yet scared of what the Vikings can become. It's just a great game from the defense. You know, there are fluke games like that. If Carson Wentz pulls off 2 or 3 in a row, then we can start to have that conversation. But you watch Green Bay look the way they did, that collapse after their start. You're not too afraid of Minnesota or Chicago. and you're just like, all right, let's beat Baltimore and take this back. And if they beat Baltimore, you can make the argument. I know they lost to Green Bay, but you can make the argument that they're back on top power rankings in the NFC North, which Packer fans won't like, but I think you can make that argument if they beat Baltimore after a 40-point win. Big winners to me.
I mean, certainly, like, we've been saying all week that we're going to learn a lot about this Lions team based on how they play in Baltimore. Because whether or not, like, I do not expect the Lions to go in there and win. I think they certainly can. I think people are underrating, or rather overrating, this Ravens defense. I think the defense is solid, but Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery can take on any defense in the NFL that's not the Green Bay Packers, apparently. So I'm expecting big stuff from them. If the Lions just play competitive football, and I don't mean it like a moral victory, but like if they play very good football in Baltimore, they'll have shown everybody which of their first 2 games was the fluke, right? Is it the game where you blew out the Bears and everybody in our chat has been saying, well, the Bears still suck, so the Lions blowing them out means nothing? Or is it the game against Green Bay where you can say we had a slow start to week 1, we had new coordinators, this Green Bay team is pretty good, but we can compete with the big guys. So I'm very excited to see what happens, and I agree with you. Like, this Packers team, I'm not going to say they didn't look unbeatable. They were beatable. They lost.
Yeah, Ziggy.
If you split 1-1 at home, it can go.
Ziggy, producer Zach today was like, I think that this adds like so much intrigue to the North with the Packers losing today. And I think the Packers, I didn't think they were going to go undefeated or anything, but they did look unstoppable through the first 2 weeks. And now you're looking at the North, you're like, whoa, the North has been off to a wild start this season. And we'll see what happens with the Bears today, but the Bears get a win. They get to 1-2. Like,
I mean, they're up 14-3 at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, look, this again. It's people overreact so much. If Chicago wins this football game, they're a game out, and it's been as bad a start as possible. But you're a game out, and Caleb's playing well so far. So things turn so quickly. No one needs to get out of control here, thinking that season's over or whatnot, or we need to move ourselves down or up in tiers because of one game. But yeah, it is. It's just wild how the NFL reactions go. We have from our friend John Jakubowski, who is a big Lions fan. Ziggy, he goes, "Is the Ziggy curse just starting? Packers at number 1 in the power rankings, and now we see what happens." So,
I hope so. I hope that I have the power to curse whoever's number 1 in the power rankings. Because I'll tell you who I'll put number 1 in the power rankings every single week.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack will probably play along too. The Steelers had a great win. Can we put him number 1 in the power rankings?
Yeah, Jack's going to be insufferable with the Steelers. Jack has to be the biggest. He has to be the most polar with his reactions of anyone with like Super Bowl or we're missing the playoffs, worst team ever.
My roommate is a Patriots fan, and we were watching that Patriots game, and he was rooting for the Patriots because he's a Patriots fan. He likes watching them.
Sounds about right.
I was rooting for the Patriots because I don't want to do the power ranking segment this week if the Steelers win. I'm not sure I can handle it.
If you're like sick to your stomach if you're a Patriot fan watching that football game. You outgained Pittsburgh.
What was with those fumbles?
Well, it's the Steelers. It's the Steelers and the Packers, and normally the Packers are so they had some bad luck today, but normally those are the blue sky franchises. And Pittsburgh, dude, I mean, they were outgained 369 to 203, but New England had 5 turnovers, 4 fumbles lost. And I think two of them were like one of them was literally on the 1-inch line, and May threw an interception in the end zone as well. Like New England should have blown out Pittsburgh in this football game. But that's what the Steelers do. Like this is how the Steelers have been for a while now. You could call it luck, and to some degree, yeah, but like they make a lot of big plays, a lot of things break their way, and that's why they get blown out against the really good teams is because they're just genuinely not that good. But against in these games where it's kind of a toss-up, they find a way to win, and then usually they play their division really tough, especially in Pittsburgh. Steal a couple games there. You find your way to 9-8. You're a wild card, but then you go on the road and get housed by Buffalo. That's sort of the story of the Steelers.
I was such a huge Ramondre Stevenson believer. Paul, you know how much
you were
I was.
all over him.
He's so talented, but I don't understand how it's his 4th or 5th year in the NFL. He's 27 now. He has not figured out. It's his 5th year, and he hasn't figured out how to hold on to the ball.
Yeah,
like the most correctable thing coaching wise should be not fumbling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and you hear Mike Tomlin afterwards saying, "Yeah, we always think about or about ball security, but one of our number one agenda items was getting the ball out of Ramondre Stevenson's hand because we know he fumbles." Like, come on. And then you've got Pop Douglas. It's like fourth down, and like he runs backwards when he gets the ball. I get that running forwards
Yeah,
probably wouldn't have
yeah.
worked.
Just fall
I know
forward.
we're not a Patriots channel, and all our NFC North fans are tuning out. That game was so painful to
No, but I
watch.
mean, if you're a football fan, like it's fun. It's fun talking about these games. They were wild games today. Like the Eagles coming back, scored 26-7. They outscored the Rams in the second half to win 33-26.
I
That
thought
drove
I
me
was so
crazy.
smart for picking the Rams that
I
game.
well, I again, I tried to tell you and Jack, like the Eagles, just they don't lose at home. They're a scary, scary team at home. And yeah, through three quarters though, I was like, wow, like the Rams might have to go up to one, a two, three, the top three in the power rankings right now. And Stafford looked good. And then you just have Philly turn it on. And Jalen Hurts had what, 20 passing yards, right, Zach? Like in the first half, like early third quarter. And then all of a sudden, after they're showing AJ Brown 0 targets, 0 catches, he pops off for 109 yards and a touchdown. Couple really big time catches too, like third down catches, strong hands, touchdown grab, as I said. Kind of reminding people like producer Zach, who benched him in fantasy to this week, that he's one of the best receivers in the league. And on a
Look,
day, yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna issue an apology to Jalen Hurts. I've been saying for a long time that the reason he doesn't pass the ball is because the Eagles don't trust him in situations where they absolutely need him to, and he generally doesn't step up. Whether or not he generally does, this week the Eagles needed huge passing production to close the game, and he stepped up and did it in a big way. So like, and that this was not like he was throwing a screen to AJ Brown and AJ Brown was running for 50 yards after the catch. He was making excellent throws. So like, I know they won the game in like a crazy blocked field goal and the Rams should have won. I don't want to hear you say like you can't beat Philly in Philly when that's how they won. But like Jalen Hurts stepped up in a big way and showed why people like me are wrong about him. So like I apologize, Jalen Hurts. If you were watching the show and this partially motivated you, you can like take the Paul Farrington show. Like you can take my face out of your locker. You don't need me to motivate you anymore. I'm going to try and give you more respect from now on.
Yeah, it was a great comeback from them, especially on a day where Saquon, 18 carries for 46 yards, was kind of shut down. The Rams D line was making a lot of plays throughout the day. They sacked Hurts 4 times. Philly just had a really gutsy comeback, and that's a heart of a champion kind of drives there at the end. And obviously, a blocked field goal return for a touchdown at the end is not typical. But today was a weird day with all the blocks at the end of the football game. Really annoying watching Jordan Davis, and kind of insane. Jordan Davis looked pretty good run down the field there after blocking the kick to win to seal the win for Philly. But they're 3-0. They're looking like they're going to be right back in driver's seat again throughout much of this season. We'll just bounce
That was
around these
actually
last
the
couple games.
fastest that a guy that size has ever been
I,
charted.
I was watching him run. I was like,
NFL.
holy crap, he's moving.
He ran almost 19 miles an hour.
Yeah, how
That's
much?
like close to Derrick Henry's top speed, and he's 340 pounds.
Yeah, if you haven't seen
Like,
it,
you got to go watch this.
I'm watching him run. I was like, oh my God, that guy can move. Like, I thought Jordan Davis was, obviously a great athlete. Just to be in the NFL, he plays at Georgia, but like,
Being a great athlete at 340 pounds means you can move at like normal person speed.
yeah, that was nuts. Obviously, there was a big block in the Jets game, but Tampa Bay ultimately. And Baker, again, drive down the field. Like, the Bucs are not winning
Baker's so
pretty.
good.
The Bucs are not winning pretty. And I'm not even quite sure that, like, if you're a Bucs fan, you're 3-0, you feel great. You've had 3 essentially game-winning drives. But also, you're looking back now, you're like, all right, we beat the Falcons, who lost by 30 to the Panthers today. You beat the Texans, the Texans, panic meter out of 10. That is a disaster situation down in Houston.
It's over. Their season's over.
Yeah, that is oh my goodness. Stroud looks bad. The defense is doing the best they can, and it's just a nightmare situation in Houston.
They're down 3 games in the division, and they're not getting a wild card spot.
Yeah.
Like, it's over.
And then today, the Bucs play the Jets with the backup, with Tyrod Taylor in. So you're 3-0, and that's great. But it's also this 3-0 where it's like, okay, how long can this go on for? How long can we have Baker, scrambling on 4th and 13 and picking up first downs? I don't know. Like.
Well, there's two things to say. One is like, This Bucs team, what they've done for the past few years is they've eked it out in an easy division and played tough football in the playoffs. You can go that route again. But also, like, you get to find out who you are over the next 2 weeks. You host the Eagles and you go to Seattle. If they go 1-1 in those games, right? You're 4-1 leaving the Falcons, Texans, Jets, Eagles, Seahawks. You're probably a solid team. The rest of their schedule, I mean, they've got a tough game in Detroit, they've got a tough game in Buffalo, but most of what they get to do is play the rest of the AFC East and the NFC South. It's like you're pretty happy about where you are if you start your season 4-1. And at that point, this Bucs team has shown that they can turn it on for the playoffs. And they've been the past couple of years just a few plays going their way away from beating a lot of good teams. I think they can keep doing this.
No, they can, and it's just sometimes you have these years where the Vikings have had plenty of them where you eke out these late game victories, and we've gotten, we've kind of had it come back to bite us in the playoffs where eventually we play a team that's just really good and they kick our ass. But again, if you can get to the 1 seed or the 2 seed and you're hosting playoff games, you just never know once you're in. So you take every win you get, but it's just there's a little false confidence, I think, in Tampa right now that could be there, given the way they've won and who they've beaten. So again, it's still so early in the year that you can wind up validating everything. You could disprove everything very quickly. But I'm paying attention to Tampa. And Zach, you see our buddy CJ Benowitz, who goes by Christian now, according to his YouTube handle. He says, "No more Jets talk, please." So we'll spare you. But hey, could be an early draft pick and some really big time players.
We'll switch to the Jets and get through the rest of these super chats since there's a few lingering around here. This one's from Stuckman, a longtime supporter of the channel. Packers played top 3 defense, had a lot of self-inflicted errors. The O-line was still injured. Still took Cleveland 17 miracles to win. We'll be fine. Demolish Dallas. Go, Pack, go.
I mean, there's absolutely some truth in that. I don't know if you're going to demolish Dallas, but yeah, a lot of injuries on the O-line.
If the Bears demolish Dallas, the Packers are going to demolish Dallas.
Yeah, and that's a good spot. Look at the way this Dallas defense has played this year, what Philly's done to them, what the Bears are doing to them right now. I think that Dallas is why am I blanking on week 2 for Dallas? What was their week 2 game? Does anyone remember?
Who remembers anything about this Cowboys team now that Micah Parsons is gone?
Yeah, the Cowboys won in week 2. The Giants. The Giants game. Really? Yeah, Russ had the best game of his a decade. So it's a nice spot for Green Bay to try and come back and bounce back offensively. Right now, defensively, Micah's going to be a beast. We know he's going to have like 4 sacks, and they'll probably have a lot of success against that. I think someone said CD tweaked a hamstring earlier. I'm not sure.
But he's back on the field.
Okay, good. But it's a nice defense for you to try and bounce back from, especially after Cleveland's defense flies around, man. They're a good defense. Even watching that game when it was 10-0 Packers, I was watching the game with my dad and Zach, and I looked at them. We're like, Cleveland's better than people give them credit for. It's a shame they can't put up any points because this.
Okay, wait. I'm sorry. The Cowboys did the funniest thing ever.
What?
They put CeeDee Lamb in as a running back. He got blown up and now he's hurt again.
No, right.
I mean, it's not funny that he's hurt, of course not, but it's funny that this is what the Cowboys do of your wide receiver that's already questionable.
Yeah.
As you bring him for 1 snap, put him in at running back where he's guaranteed to get blown up. Jerry Jones must have called that in personally, right? Like, I want to see CeeDee Lamb at running back.
Yeah, you just can't make that stuff up. All right, just to finish up here, blasting through the 1 o'clock games. Panthers 30-0 over the Falcons. I don't know. That pissed me off watching that. I don't know what.
And Bryce Young, by the way, was 16 for 24, 120 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah,
That's a 30-0 stat line because the defense was outrageous. The running game was okay. The Panthers won 30-0. The Falcons had 330 yards and the Panthers had 224.
Yeah,
they won 30-0. The Falcons were better on 3rd down than the Panthers. They won 30-0. The Panthers gave up more sacks than the Falcons. They punted the same number of times. They had about the same number of penalties. How was this? I'll admit, I didn't watch this game very closely. Do you know how this game was 30-0?
I know there was a pick 6 in there. Yeah, the defense, the Panthers defense made a couple big plays, but I was just pissed off looking at that score after what we saw last week. A couple people in the chat right now seem to be flirting with changing their fandom. I'm seeing Seth, and I thought I saw a couple more in there talking about switching allegiances or some Vikings.
If you hate back-breaking, miserable victories against teams that you should beat on fluky plays, become a Minnesota Vikings fan. It'll never happen to you.
Yeah.
Can you remember, Paul? Can you remember a time in an important game when we had a really great team that everyone thought was going to go win the Super Bowl? We had a fluke on a special teams kick that never should have happened that lost us the game. I don't think that's ever happened for Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone who's thinking about changing over to the Viking side of things, like I'll spare you the misery right now. But if you want to come, we're very welcoming, and there are some very high highs, but the lows get quite.
I was
low.
going to say we have better food, but that's not true. I was going to say we have better drink.
Let's finish this up here so we could watch the second half of these 4:00 games here. Mariota leads the Commanders 41-24 over the Raiders, who after the Raiders opening week win, I was like, all right, like stability. That's what the Raiders have been looking for, right? Well, you got it with Carroll. You got it with Geno. This is great. And then obviously a bad loss against the Chargers. And now I know Mariota is a good backup, but still it hurts to lose to a backup quarterback. And no matter, I mean, he played well today. Mariota played well, but giving up 41 points, like the Raiders season is going to get worse. And last but not least here, so I think we hit all of them, right? The rest of these games. We talked about I have no opinion on the Jaguars. I think they stink too. Emeka Buka is unbelievable. So the last game here was the Colts and the Titans. How about a round of applause for Tommy Cassius's Indianapolis Colts? Our good friend Tommy Cassius said, you know what? I think it's time the Colts get a little more attention on this show. Well, Tommy, you're going to get a little bit more attention on this show because 3-0, 41-20 today. Daniel Jones, another good day, 18 for 25, 228 yards and a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor.
They completely validated us, putting them in the power rankings.
Oh, yeah. Now, again, it's been the Broncos, the Titans, and the Tex. Who was the other one? And the Dolphins.
The Dolphins.
And the Dolphins, your 3 wins. We'll see. When's the next first big game for the Colts? And some people might say the Broncos was. All right, next week.
Well, they go to L.A. next week.
Next week they go to L.A. I mean, that is as good an opportunity to show that you are a legitimate contender. And I'm not saying good team, contender. If you beat the Rams and you're 4-0, your next couple games are the Raiders and the Cardinals. We don't want to look too far ahead, but now we're talking about a Colts team that has some real juice to it. And, I mean, they've just been great. And Daniel
Jonathan
Jones.
Taylor's reminding everyone who he is.
Yeah, and I cannot stand running back hate, which last year started to turn around. And I've always been, particularly because of Adrian Peterson growing up. And, you know, it was unfortunate that we had to rely so much on Adrian Peterson growing up. But when you have a good running back, a great running back, it just changes everything. I mean, when you have someone who could take a house call on any given play, it's unbelievable for your team. And Jonathan Taylor is one of the best in the business. It's been a great start for Indy, and their defense has been balling out as well. Cam Bynum, I don't think he had a pick today, but he started the season with 2 interceptions. I know, big addition there. I've just been really impressed with the Colts, and I'm happy for Daniel Jones, who's been playing great. He's scrambling well. He's avoiding the big mistakes that he's made at times in his career. And we'll see. Maybe this is just a fairy tale start. But at this point in time, you're looking at Indianapolis as the clear class of the AFC South, where I don't believe at all in the Titans. I don't believe at all in the Texans anymore. And I don't believe at all in the Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars are the other 2 teams besides the Jaguars started 0-3. It's very hard even this early to come back from that. The Jaguars are the only real competition in the division. Now, we'll see. Those teams don't play until December. And the way this works, if the Jaguars win both those games, like no matter how good the Colts season is, that could knock them out. But up to this point, this is what Colts fans were promised when they hired Shane Steichen, right? A guy who could run an effective offense with a quarterback, get him running when you need it, get him making efficient plays, juice the run game, and have a defense that can play solid with all the talent there. We've been waiting a number of years for this, and it's clear Anthony Richardson was not that guy. But Steichen's showing that he can be an effective coach by getting it done with Daniel Jones.
Yeah. And all the credit to him right now. But we'll see. We'll see in the Rams game, because I see some people are saying way too early to call the Colts a contender. And I didn't call him one yet. But I said
if they win that, they won't.
if you go beat LA and LA, either team honestly, but the Rams is who they have on the schedule. You start thinking differently about Indianapolis. So that'll be a really fun one to watch. It's a 4:00 game next week. All right, I think.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, please.
You asked if we missed the 1:00 game, so I went and looked. There's 7 minutes left in the second quarter of the Saints Seahawks game. I thought that might have been a 1:00 game. The Seahawks are up 35-3, halfway through the second quarter.
It is. I mean, all the quarterbacks said the combined record right now after this game, right? The Seahawks are going to be 2-1, right? So of 2-1 Seattle, 3-0 Indianapolis, 2-1 Pittsburgh. We got 7-2 for the Viking quarterbacks that we were looking at this offseason. And hey, we're 2-1 as well. So anyone that's attached to us turns to gold. That's what I'm getting right now. So
except our team.
All right, we will we'll see what happens. Bad loss for the Packers, horrendous loss. They'll be fine. Great win for the Vikings, still a lot to prove. And for Jack Steelers, a ridiculous win, but if you take the wins when you can get them, that's just how football goes. So, all right, appreciate everyone listening to this. Once again, please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. As we're chasing down, right now we're leaning in on 25,000 subscribers. Our goal for the year is 50, so we'll see if we get there. And we'll see everyone probably.